So excited to be joined by today's guest, former pitcher for the Toronto Blue Jays and current manager for the Sanford River Rats of the Florida Collegiate League, Jesse Littsch. Welcome to the walk-off. Thanks for taking the time.
No problem. Appreciate y'all having me.
Hey, man, we're excited to talk some baseball with you. I know that I do have some listener questions for you, which we'll get to at the end here. But the one that was the most common theme here, so I figured we'd start with this, is where are you now and what are you doing? I know managing college kids is obviously different than coaching in other leagues. What are your goals kind of season to season, and how have you been enjoying this portion of your career?
Yeah, I'm in the coaching side, still in the baseball world, but managing. I was in the MLB draft league the last 2 years, and I'm in the Florida Collegiate League this year. And it's a lot of fun. It's a different world, but it's college kids that are potentially getting drafted and starting their careers in the baseball world. And it goes beyond that too. It's not just baseball; it's life as well. So just getting them acclimated to the real world and have some fun playing baseball while it's all there. So that I feel like that's kind of my goals and my aspirations in regards to helping players fulfill their dreams, and if not, be ready for what the real world has.
Well, I know we're in the midst of the MLB draft right now. The first few rounds went last night with many picks to go today. You were drafted late in the draft, 37th round. And I'd love to hear what it's like to be drafted in the late rounds. I know it's still such a huge accomplishment just to get drafted, but it doesn't come with the same sort of fanfare or excitement that we watched those early round picks get yesterday. What was your draft experience like? And when you're talking to the kids who maybe are drafted later in the draft, do you have advice you pass to them in kind of terms of expectations?
Honestly, like I was a 24th rounder. Like, there's not even 24 rounds nowadays. So for me, it's pretty interesting in a situation to where it's a mindset of just being able to get ready to fulfill your dreams, but like also have a mindset like, okay, I'm late. I gotta actually gotta do some stuff here.
Do you talk to them about the mental side of it? Because I can imagine that there's probably some stress and anxiety that goes along with just crossing your fingers and hoping that your name is called that day when it comes to, like you said, the draft isn't as long as it was when you were drafted. Do you have any kind of advice for the kids when it comes to just being in that mindset to not maybe be completely devastated if it doesn't happen and to go to the next year and continue to work?
Yeah, I mean, you just definitely you have to have you got to have the mindset to want it all. It's not an easy grind. It is a grind for sure, but you got to go out there and trust your ability, understand what you have going on, and you got to there's it's a dreamer, like you're chasing your dreams, and you got to understand that. And when it comes to the big picture, like the big picture is to get to the big leagues. It's not going to happen for everybody, not even close. But if you're chasing something and you have that mindset to get there, that makes it a lot easier.
Do you like the draft, like the way it's set up now? It was interesting yesterday because you see these guys that are slotted in certain positions, but with the way the money pool works and the way the draft works, guys are kind of sliding up and down that scale. Are there negatives to kind of the chess match approach teams kind of take to try and get the best talent they can and watching guys slide up and down?
Yeah.
Or
I mean,
yeah.
honestly, like you never know who's going to be taken ahead of you. So you got to have a couple, three names on the board that you want. And then beyond that, like you have to go and you got to go with what your organization needs. There's a lot of pre-draft agreements to where some guys will take less money, not slot value, that they might go a little bit higher. Like there's a lot of stuff that goes into it, which I'm pretty sure happened yesterday in the first round, but with some of those picks. But like, who knows? We'll see. I mean, the slot value is pretty known, and we'll see what they got as far as a signing bonus here. I mean, I would say in the next week or so.
Well, the truth is there's so much development that goes into baseball anyways. If you drop a few slots or get picked a few earlier, you still have a mountain to climb in front of you, right?
100%, 100%. I mean, you're going to get a lot more opportunity with more money invested in you, and certain organizations do things differently. But the overall picture is like you're playing professional baseball, you're trying to make it to the big leagues, and you got to go produce. Like you're getting paid now, it becomes a job, and you have to go out there and understand, like, hey, like I got to get this thing moving.
When you first joined the Jays organization, what was that transition like? Like, did you play college, Jesse? I know I was looking at your stuff here and I already messed up when you were drafted. So I figured I'd check with you first here.
Yeah, I mean, I played 2 years of JUCO. I was actually a two-way player. I was going to Alabama to play shortstop, third base as well. I just never made it there. So I was always that. So the transition for me was a little different. Like it was basically you're not hitting anymore, you're going to pitch only. Like I did both in college, but it was for me. It was just fun. Like it was an organization near where I'm at and all that stuff. Oh my god.
I would love to hear if you need to get the door, go
Yeah.
ahead.
All right. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no problem, man. He's in his Airbnb. They want him out at 10, but he's making time here, so we'll forgive him.
All right.
All
Sorry,
right.
guys.
No, no, no. All good. I would love to hear about your major league debut back in 2007, May 15. And I remember it personally because I remember watching it. I know Roy Halladay was supposed to pitch, and then you got the call up because he was dealing with some injuries, and then you knocked it out of the park. How did you find that first outing, and how exciting it
Yeah.
must have been for
I
you?
mean, it was definitely a unique experience for sure. It's everything you wish for and want to do, and you're making it there. And it's definitely nerve wracking. I mean, it started pretty much that start prior to that in Double A. I went 8 no hit innings and had a thought that I might go up to Triple A after that because I was throwing pretty well, and we knew Halliday got hurt, and somebody from Triple A we were for sure going to get called up. Um, but I got called into the office, and they basically said, you know you've been throwing well. You deserve to move up. You do all this stuff, and your flight leaves for Toronto in the morning. And I'm like, just and then he keeps talking, and I'm like, okay, well, oh wait, what'd you just say? And then the kind of the rest was history. At that point, I jumped on a flight the next morning. I was able to, get in Toronto for a day, get acclimated to the city. It was my dad's birthday, so I was actually able to get him in there as well. He didn't have a passport, so I had to fly him into Buffalo. At that time, you could get by with your license,
Right.
which was great at that time. But it was one of those things where it was a day that I'll definitely always remember. I obviously did very well. I went in there and kind of just did what I always did and just competed. Threw the ball over the plate, let them get themselves out. I think I had 22 or 23 ground outs that day. I couldn't get the last out, which sucks, but I could have. I just got taken out by Gibbons. But
Yeah.
uh, it's all part of it. And I was able to get the win. It was a great day. It's everything you dream of. I mean, obviously, I still talk about it to this day. It was I think the longest um, starter debut. And I couldn't tell you
Yeah,
how
in
long.
Jay's
Obviously, in
history.
today's
It's
history,
still
but I think in the stat era as well, potentially. I've heard. I don't know for sure. I've never actually seen that, but it was just one of those things where it was an amazing experience, but like you're still there. Like now, okay, you've got your taste. Now you want to stay here, right? And then the next three were just okay. Like, and then my fourth one, I didn't even get out of the fourth. I didn't even get out of the first inning against the Yankees. Like, so, it's an uphill battle. It's a daily grind, and that's, and then I got sent back down, but I had to go down and work to get back up. So it was, and you look at debuts as your stepping stone, but like it's just a start. You got to keep moving.
you almost just didn't have enough time to overthink it at that moment, eh? Like you weren't expecting a big league call up. You were more thinking triple A, correct?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't even think I was a prospect on the list, like on their prospect list. So like, it definitely was a eye opener. But you know what, JP Ricciardi had faith in me, and he's like, "Let's bring this kid up," and it worked out to the best. And I mean, I still talk to JP to this day, and his son as well, who's a scout for the Red Sox. So
Yeah.
it's definitely something that I'll always remember. But you can't go into that game thinking, okay, this is it. Like you got to work. Like you got to keep moving.
Yeah.
If you want to stay here, once you taste it, you don't want to leave.
22 years old, you get the call up, and you're in a rotation with an absolute legend, a Hall of Famer, and Roy Halladay. Whenever he gets talked about, it's always the intensity that people bring up. Was that a little intimidating when you first started being in the clubhouse with him, or what was your experience with Roy?
So I kind of got lucky. We both lived in the same area, and when I got drafted, I worked out at the facility at the Jays complex in Dunedin, and he was there, and he kind of let me do a lot of stuff with him as a 20-year-old. So I got to know him a little bit, and then obviously when I got called up, it I had we already had like we knew each other in a sense. Obviously I'm still young. He's a legend. So you watch and you learn. Like I'm a big like watcher. I want to learn from the best, and he was obviously the best. And I always said if while working out with him, if I did half of what he did, I felt like I was doing a lot. So he was that guy, and there's a reason he was who he was. He is who he is, and he's a Hall of Famer. Like there's no other way to put it. Like he's a Hall of Famer. His numbers speak for themselves. His work ethic speaks for itself, and he was a good dude to be around. Like obviously, game day, don't talk to him. Do not talk to him on game day, or something bad will happen.
Were
And we
you
all
were
know that.
you how are you on game day?
Uh, I was loose. I was young.
Yeah.
I don't think I knew any. I think I would be different nowadays. Like, but like as a 22-year-old, 20, like I don't know. I put the rap music on, hang out in the clubhouse, get ready for a game. Like obviously within an hour of the game, like you're locked in. But you go over your advance reports, you go over you go watch some hitters of what you're gonna face, and you kind of move forward. But like, there's really, there's really, for me, I was always pretty good with the mind. So like it wasn't like a nerve thing for me. It was just more of like, let's go. Like it's another day at the ball field. Let's go have some fun and play baseball. Good things and bad things will happen. It's just a matter of how you overcome them.
I always loved, I mean, for a lack of a better term, I'm probably too old to use this, but I always loved your vibes, right? Like I still kind of wear my hat like you were. You were always a little straighter, and by the end of the game, it'd always be a little to the side or
Yeah,
whatever. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
still do
So
that managing too. By the way.
I love that, man. I
Yeah.
love that. So in 2008, I mean, it was your career year, right? You threw 176 innings. You had an ERA of 3.5, 23 years old. Incredible season. And unfortunately, it was really wound up being kind of the last season where you were healthy the majority of the year. When you look back, what do you remember about that season?
I mean, honestly, I think we had the best pitching staff in baseball that year, starting and relieving. As far as like the bullpen and the starters, I think we had the best pitching staff in baseball. We didn't hit very well that year. It is what it is. But for me, it was just the consistency of like the day in day out work and have learning how to become a big league pitcher. Like and watching guys around you. I mean, I like my locker was in between Halliday and Burnett. Like so you're learning a lot. Like you got two different sides of the spectrum there. You got a crazy dude, and you got Halliday. Like you got guys that like it was a good vibe, and I was close with both of them. But like they were able to take me in and kind of give me the ropes and different sides of the spec. Like they both did things differently, and it was me, Markham, and McGowan were in the rotation with them. So like we definitely vibed off of each other. The young guys for sure, but like with those guys at the helm, like we were able to lean on them for guidance and lean on them for help with whatever we needed. But as a 23-year-old with obviously a great year, but like it's learning the game at that point and trying to be your best. Like it's a game of adjustments, and you got to be able to adjust. Like that year I started out like 7-1 or 6-1, and ended up like at the All-Star break 8-6, and got sent back down to the minors. Like a lot of people don't remember that part. And I went back down to learn how to throw harder, is what Cito Gaston said. And like that wasn't part of my repertoire. It ended up being. It could have potentially hurt me. I don't know. It was out of the
Mhm.
way I threw, but it was the adjustment that I had to make to stay in the big league. So you're going down. I went down for 2 weeks, figured it out, and was back up. So it was one of those things where you just gotta daily grind is it was always fun.
Jesse, I know that there are some comparables between this 2024 Blue Jays team and that 2020 or 2020 2008 Blue Jays team. Just that the pitching is so dynamite, and then there's definitely a struggle to score runs.
Yeah. Yes.
Does that I mean, it obviously wears on the pitching staff a little bit, and I'm well aware that there's the team dynamic, and you got to put the team first. And it's not like the hitters aren't trying their best to hit.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, is there a battle of attrition mentally when it comes to that sort of season where you maybe one side isn't quite picking up their end of the bargain like you would hope so?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously it stinks, but like you got to go out there as a professional and do your job. Like you can only control what you can control. Like there's no other way around it. Like, but whatever you can do to maybe help hitters, like they're not going to listen to pitchers as much. But like I still remember to this day, like me and Bautista, we would go like, hey, how would you pitch me? What would you look for off of me as a hitter? And those things go a long way, towards stuff. But it's hitting's not easy. Like I tell my guys when I coach now, like hitting is really hard and it's one of those things where like you could be really really good one year and have a struggle like the next year. Like who knows? Like I mean Teoscar Hernandez right now, like he's killing it in LA, right? And he's had some downs, he's had some ups. Like he's a perfect example of that situation.
So I want to talk injuries, and obviously, Jesse, if you had the answer to arm injuries or I had the answer to arm injuries, we'd probably be very wealthy men right now and working in multiple organizations. But
Yeah, for sure.
I it does feel like, and I mean, you went through Tommy John yourself. I mean, injuries is kind of what wound up cutting your career short. What is your thought on the amount of TJs that we're seeing recently? And even more than that, if maybe you can tell us a little bit of the behind the scenes stuff, because I know that on fans, sometimes it gets lost because we hear about Tommy John all the time. So it's just like a part of the game, but there's a lot that goes to it just with needing to deal with the rehab and the mental side of it and just coming back as strong as you can. What was your experience with Tommy John, and do you have any theories on why we're seeing so many of them?
I mean, honestly, I made it back to the big leagues in exactly a year, which is not a thing anymore. But I mean, it definitely. I felt like I wasn't myself till about 18 months. Like I went back because I was a competitor, but I was an up and down battle at that point with the TJ. There's a lot of things that it could be at this point, like the weighted balls, the lifting, like less running. Like there's so many theories that have been thrown out there. Like to speak on one, there's really no like
Mm-hmm.
for specific reason or you know rhyme that it's going to be TJ or shoulder stuff, but it's there's definitely something going on. Kids are trying to throw harder. That's all they're trying to do at a young age. So like it's not going to stop. It really ain't. Like the only thing you hear now is about throwing hard. All these perfect game, um, PBR, all those showcases, which are amazing for the kids, but like all the kids are worrying about is velocity, and that's kind of like I don't know, like you watch a TV, the only thing they talk about is velocity and spin rate and all this stuff, and those are the things that you gotta do different things to develop that, and you gotta do things outside of the box to get your velocity, get the spin rate up. So, a lot of those things might be hurting kids, especially at a young age. I mean, I've seen kids throwing weighted balls at 10 years old. It's just like for me, like you're not developed. Like let your body develop. Go have some fun playing the game. Your growth plates, all this stuff. Like you see all these injuries, but it's really not going to stop until somebody big steps up. I know Verlander said some stuff, a few weeks back about it. And he's a name that people will listen to, but at the young age with travel ball and basically little league not being a thing anymore. It's becoming, I guess an epidemic. Like it's not a good thing, but it's probably not going to go anywhere anytime soon. So it's just
Velocity,
getting guidance
like
to the kids as much as possible.
when you were coming up through little league and through your minor ball career, was velocity looked at the same way? I know you even just mentioned that you were actually sent down to work on your velocity once you hit the major. So obviously, it's always a thing when you're in big league ball. But looking back on your childhood, like was that even talked about?
No. I mean, realistically, no. I mean, I didn't. I don't think I hit 90 miles an hour until maybe the end of my like in high school, my senior year. Like in my junior year of high school, I was throwing like 80, 82. So like nowadays, like I mean, there's freshmen throwing. There's I guess grade 9 kids throwing 94 now. Like it's crazy the stuff that you see on Instagram, Twitter, all this stuff. Like these kids that are developing at a rapid pace, and you wonder what's going to happen 3-4 years from now. You hope nothing happens, but like it's a crazy world. And it's a from when I played to now, it's like a huge, like I would say 180, almost 270 flip on what's important, because throwing strikes is not important.
Which is wild.
It's crazy. Like, I mean, I'll tell you right now, in my collegiate league right now, like we have the best hitting team and the worst pitching team, and it's all because of walks. Like guys don't throw it over the plate, but we have the best average against us in the league, which is crazy. That means all of our runs have come off walks or hit by pitches. It's I said just throw the ball over the middle of the plate. Nobody's hitting the ball. Like you guys, and it's easier said than done, I guess. Like at college,
Yeah.
these kids, they do things a certain way, and everyone has different colleges, so you got to just let them go. It's about getting their work in, and some of them are getting less because they don't throw the ball over the plate.
If you had one piece of advice for collegiate pitchers, what would it be?
Throw strikes.
Throw
Like,
strikes, throw
I mean, yeah, I mean,
strikes.
location. Like, I mean, that's a big thing. Locate. Like, obviously, if you're good enough to get pro ball, you're gonna be throwing hard enough. But like, if you can mix in the location and understand, like, okay, and you're not just fastball, like off speed stuff as well. Like, that's the difference between a low level minor leaguer and a big leaguer. Like, you got to be able to locate and throw all your pitches for strikes.
Jesse, I'd love to hear your thoughts on Alek Manoah. There's so much that goes into being a big league pitcher, and when you're kind of thrust into that position in your early 20s, I can imagine the spotlight can be a lot. And I do draw comparisons between you and Big Puma, uh, just because you both had that early success in your career and then struggled and then had it kind of, derailed by injury. Uh, when you have success and then struggle, everyone puts you under the microscope, right? And
Yep.
they start questioning everything. What are your thoughts on the Alek Manoah saga that we've seen unfold over the last 18 months with the Blue Jays? And do you have faith the kid can come back as strong as ever?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, I've seen him a bunch. I've watched him a bunch, especially after last year when he got called out for, being overweight and all this other stuff. I actually was an advocate for him in that regards, because, like, some guys pitch better overweight. Like, it's simple. Like, and now everyone's on him about losing weight and all this other stuff, and he's not. He's hurt. He's not pitching well. Like, there's a lot of things that go into it. Like, and I think I don't, nowadays it with the meal plans and all this other stuff, like the game's changed a lot, even in the last 10 years in the clubhouse, food wise. And you got all kinds of, mental people there and all this other stuff. But like the game of baseball is the same. And you're still got to pitch, you still got to do things. But like your body tells you certain things. And if you don't listen, like bad things could potentially happen. And with him in particular, like his stuff is still there. Like you can see it's still there. Like, but like there's something, potentially a mental gap or whatever it may be, that is definitely, you know, getting in his head, or, making him not succeed at the highest level that he should be. The weight thing, everyone calling him out on the weight thing, for me, that's dumb. Because
Mhm.
like some guys pitch like David Wells, the CC Sabathia, like
Yeah.
a lot of guys pitch big. Like it's all part of it. Like it's about how you feel, how your body feels. And if you're not out there being successful, okay, now we got to make a change. But like he was successful at that weight. Like And that's where, okay, you had one down year, but and then everyone gets on him. Like it's crazy that's the case. And it's unfortunate, but from him, he's still young. I mean, he threw really well at West Virginia. Like his minor league stint was very, very small, to where it's like, okay, he's a big leaguer. It's just a matter of, okay, how do we get him back into his groove? And that's the thing that they got to figure out. He actually has to figure it out on his own. Like it's not an easy process, but he has to get with the mindset of like, okay, like I'm here to go. Like I got to get moving.
Before we get to listener questions, let's talk mindset really quick, because you are a guy who saw success and then also were sent down. What is it like to get sent down, and how do you deal with that mentally to not, spend all this time beating yourself up and not digging in and fixing some of the problems that they obviously saw that you need to fix?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely two ways you can go. You can go down with a mindset of like, man, this stinks. Like, I'm never gonna make it back again. Or you can go down and be like, I got to work on my stuff, and I need to get back up there because the experience up there is way better than the experience down here. The money up here is way better than the money down here. Like, there's a lot of positives to being up there. But like, if you go down and mope, you'll get lost. And there's a lot of guys that do that. Like, they get pissed off because they get sent down and they don't go down and make the adjustments needed. And there's another guy right behind him trying to take his spot. So, and a lot of times they'll overlap. So the
There's
mindset
always
always,
another guy,
there's
eh?
always another guy, especially now. Like the bullpen, everybody throws over 95. So like you can't say I throw 95 plus. Like everybody does it now. So like you better have some kind of niche. Like you better be able to do something different than the other person, or at least be out there being successful.
Okay, we're going to go to listener questions here. I really do appreciate your time. I know you are on a time constraint here, so we'll try to get to as many of these
Oh, we're good.
before we
Yep.
we let you out here. But okay, so this is from Jenny in Ottawa. She reached out on Twitter and said, "Hey Jesse, love that you're coming on the walk off. I remember watching you in 2008, and the starting pitching wound up being so good that year, and it was a bunch of guys getting it done that no one really expected. Dustin McGowan, Sean Markham, Scotty Richmond, yourself. What was it like pitching with those guys, and are you ever still in touch with them?"
Yeah. So I mean, for sure. I mean, I talk to Scott Richmond quite often. Like he's a good dude. Like we've always been good friends. I mean that year was amazing. Like it was something that you're going out there. Obviously, it was my best year. But like we all had each other's backs. We had a young core with the two guys at the top that like
Yeah.
guided us, which obviously helps a ton. But
I love
we
that
were
she didn't mention Burnett and Halliday.
yeah, but and we would go, whether we're going to dinner or where we're going out to have a drink, like we always went together and we had a good core. And I think that speaks for itself right there, to where like it makes you guys a lot better being closer. And you got each other's backs. If you see something, I still remember like one day I was tipping a changeup. Markham came up to me in the middle of a game and said, "Hey, like you're doing this on your changeup. Like be careful. That's probably why they're hitting it." Things like that, to where we're helping each other out and making it to where we can succeed as a core group.
So Marito from Toronto sent us a DM on Insta. He says, "Hey, Jesse, thanks for coming on the pod. I hope I'm not hitting a sore spot, but every time I hear your name, I think of this question. So here it goes. That plasma injection you got after your injury, what exactly happened there? How did that whole thing happen? Do they even do that anymore? It really seemed like everything that could have gone wrong for you went wrong then."
Yeah, so it's called a PRP injection, which you hear often. Like everyone does it. It's basically they take blood, like they took blood out of my left arm, and they put it in the diffuser or whatever it's called, and they spin it for 5 minutes. The white blood cells go to the top, and they take the white blood cells and inject it into the area of pain, which was a labrum on me at the time, that we thought, at least. And you know, something happened. We don't know what happened. There's a lot of speculation. We can sit here and talk about it, but
Yeah.
like, I got an infection, and I mean, basically, it ended my career. Like it was a staph infection. It was a MSSA, not MRSA. So, but I had to wear an IV with a fanny pack going to my heart for 6 weeks. Like, had I
Wow.
been a lefty, it could have been way worse. I could have potentially died, like, because you're stopping an infection from going to your heart. So, it was a fluke accident. They do it all the time still. Like, it's still a big. I mean, I've had them since. Like, it's
Right.
just, it's just it's an unfortunate, and it's an unfortunate thing that happened. Obviously, in my career, it sucks, but like, it's life. I can't really. I mean, I still get depressed at times. There's still a lot of things that go about it, but like, I'm still around the game of baseball, and for me, like, that's that's what it is. And now I've like moved on to helping the next wave. Try and get to their dreams and get to their potential.
I love that, man. I love that so much. So Mitchell DM'd us in our Discord. He wanted to ask, hey, Jesse, big fan. Curious your thoughts on MLB today. Scoring's way down. Pitching seems the most dominant it has been in decades. And the rule changes to increase scoring despite increasing base stealing doesn't seem to be translating into runs. Would love to know your thoughts on the state of the game.
I mean, it's definitely different for sure. I mean, there's a lot of analytics that are being played, a lot of overthinking in a sense. But I've used the analytics. I've used them to where it's helped pitchers, it's helped hitters. Like, we're able to utilize it in the right way. But with less runs being scored, like, everyone, we're hitting 220 with 30 home runs now. That's acceptable in a sense now, and whereas it wasn't before. It's more of like, we're swinging for the fences now and trying to elevate balls out of the ballpark instead of hitting the line drive up the middle or whatever it may be. But yes, the pitching has gotten a lot better. Like we've said earlier, like, in the bullpen, I don't think there's many that throw under 95 anymore, and that's just something to be said to what we're doing as a core group in the baseball world as pitchers to you know be that developed, and get there. So it definitely is a different game, and the runs are definitely down. But I think at some point you're going to see it come back. It's just a matter of now those hitters got to make those adjustments that these pitchers are starting to, be on the rise with analytically. And once the
I,
hitters start making those adjustments, that's where we'll start getting into a lot of the stuff that they're hoping for.
I mean, if you followed baseball long enough, you've seen those waves, right? It's
Yeah.
all hitting and then it's all pitching. And I like the idea that I agree with you. I do think that guys will adjust and it will
Yeah.
just
I
happen.
mean, they have to. It's
It
simple. They
has to.
have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jason also wrote in our Discord. He says, hey, Jesse, any aspirations or plans of being a big league coaching staff member at some point?
I mean, I would love to. I just got to get
Yeah.
an opportunity. I mean, I've
Right.
I've tried to get in, with the Jays, with other organizations. It just hasn't come to fruition yet. Like, I'm doing what I do now with the youngins and helping get them to where they need to be, and I enjoy that a lot. Obviously, the goal is not that; it's more of trying to further my career in the same sense. So, hopefully that in the future is a thing. But I'm young still to where I have a lot to do before I would be able to probably get there.
Okay, so the last question here, and Jesse, again, thank you so much for your time, man. We really appreciate how generous you've been here. Matthew on Twitter reached out and said, hey, Jesse, my kid is in grade 10, pitching really well on his high school team. Do you have any advice for high school ball players to set themselves up to get into a college program?
I mean, the thing with Canada is a little different. Like, we're able to play year round in Florida. Like, it's a different mindset down here, and we don't have hockey either. So, most baseball players play hockey up there, or another sport of in the winter, right? For me, it's just making sure you're on the right travel ball team, making sure you're in the right tournaments. Like, that's where you can go out and pitch well. Like, for me, like, I always say it, like, if you're throwing strikes and you're getting outs in high school, there's probably a college somewhere for you. It's just a matter of if you're open to going to that place, whether it be Iowa, Florida. It depends on how good you are, right? Um, but like, putting yourself in the right situation as far as travel organization, playing in the right tournaments, putting yourself in front of the right people in those tournaments, like those go a long way. And I said perfect game earlier. I said PBR earlier. Like,
Mhm.
those things, they are expensive, but like, they do a very good job of promoting the kids as well. So I don't ever like to, say go spend money on stuff, but like this day and age, like doing the
Kind of
good
where the
stuff
game's at,
costs
eh?
money. Yeah,
Yeah.
doing the good stuff costs money, and you're hopefully saving it in the long run by getting a scholarship and whatever it may be. But there's no guarantees to it. But like that's the situation you got to put yourself in to hopefully be successful.
Honestly, again, Jesse, thank you so very much for taking the time to join us today. I really enjoyed chatting baseball with you. I know you're going to be in Toronto in August.
Yeah,
Do you
no, I was
want to
just about to
plug
say,
that?
yeah, I'm doing a couple camps in Kitchener at Blue Chip Sports, and the first week is for the younger core, which is I should know this, but it's like the 6th to the 9th, and then the 12th to the 16th, we're doing like a more advanced one, to where we're able to help with whatever we can over there. And I think it's going to be more of a common thing. We've been in talks a lot to maybe getting up there, in the winter as well, and just trying to help the game of baseball grow in Canada more. I know he's got a huge 28,000 square foot facility in Kitchener, and he's trying to help out as many kids as possible. So I definitely, if you're in that area, definitely check him out, check this facility out because it's pretty immaculate. And I'll be there August 6th to the 16th. So definitely come say what's up. I'll be at a Jays game probably that weekend. I think around the 12th, 13th, 14th, whatever. I don't.
Amazing.
Yeah. So it'll be. I'll be around. Come say what's up. But if you got kids, send them out to the camp. It'll be fun for sure. That's the one thing I can guarantee is they'll have some fun.
I love that, Jesse. I know we saw or at least it's projected like the most Canadians in baseball history is going to be drafted this year, which is very cool. And it's because of guys like you helping with the development and stuff like that. So thrilled you're coming back up here and all the best, man. Thank you.
All right. I appreciate y'all having me.
And we're good.
All right.
Awesome. Thank you, Jesse. Again, I really do appreciate you taking the time. I know you're a busy guy, but love having you on the pod. And maybe I'll bug you again sometime and try and convince you to come back.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm always open to do it. As long as I got time, I'm open to do it. I
Yeah.
usually have time. It's just a matter of, getting me in the zone. Like I've been going back and forth with my dad. He had surgery on Friday and I'm moving. I bought him a house
Yeah.
and so I got to move him. So it's like I'm down here and then I got to manage tonight. So like I got to drive back 2 hours to manage. So like we finished at midnight last night, and I drove down last night. Got here at 2 a.m. Stayed here, and I'm gonna help him. Been helping him this morning, and then I got to drive back and manage tonight. So
Well, I'm even more appreciative than that you made time. You're a busy guy. How is your dad? Is
he's
surgery
good.
went
He's
well?
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Okay,
good.
good.
Everything's good. He just has no right hand for about a week. So he'll be
All
he'll be
right.
all right. That's why I got to help. I had to drive in and help him. So
Well, if there's ever a time to not be able to use your right hand, it's when you have to move. So there you go.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's getting out of a lot of stuff for sure.
All right.
So
Again, thanks so much, dude. Have a great day. Enjoy the rest of your season and safe travels up to Canada when you're here in August.
all right, I appreciate it.
All right. Cheers, man.